ciao ragazzi. JJ Coral back to another Coil's Calcio Corner with mio gran fratello, Owen Luciano.
Good evening.
We're out of the World Cup. We're talking about Italy not getting to the World Cup and how Mancini's trying to bring in the new era. And we're still on board with Mancini, yeah? 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And yeah, obviously not getting to the World Cup. A very disappointing Finalissima. We're talking about that. And then we'll have a look at Manchester United, Ten Hag. Is it a mission impossible? Is it just a tough task? Does he have any chance of excelling? We'll have a look at that. So yeah, there's only one place to start, the elephant in the room. Italy not at the World Cup again. First of all, before we even talk about North Macedonia, how, where does the blame lay? At whose doorstep for us not getting to the World Cup? Is it Mancini's problem? Is it more down to Jorginho? Was it the North Macedonia playoffs? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's Mancini's fault, because with an under sort of like performing team, we managed to go on that great unbeaten run and win the Euros. I mean, obviously, it's unfortunate that we're not in the World Cup. You know, this is the second World Cup we've missed out on now, and it was definitely there for us to take. Jorginho, obviously, is the easy scapegoat, but ultimately, we're not going to another World Cup, and now it's, for me, I want Mancini to continue with the kind of football that he's been playing.
When you saw the group, Switzerland, Bulgaria, Northern Ireland, for me, it looked like a bit of a gimme. Like, we should be getting to the World Cup based on this group, based on the fact that we didn't get into the last World Cup. We were the European champions. Where did it go wrong?
I don't think it went wrong. I think we played well.
We're not at the World Cup. I mean, for me, I'm just looking at it and I feel like it's a Jorginho. Situation. It's really, really upsetting. Obviously, it's disappointing. But then, does Mancini have to step in at some point? And he misses his penalty against Pickford. And then his next penalty against Switzerland, where Sommer saves it. Fantastic save. It looks like, if you've seen the slow-mo replay, he uses his knees to pretend to go one way, then goes back the other way and makes the save. Then we play him at home. In the 90th minute, he has another opportunity from the spot. And this time he blazes over. Clearly, is in his own head. But when you've just been on a run, we've seen it with Balotelli. He scored about 18 consecutive penalties. Missed one and missed another one shortly after. You know, it's not easy. You know, the next penalty after you've just missed the penalty. For him to have missed two and us to have a crucial penalty, does then Mancini need to step in there? Does another player need to take the responsibility, or does Georgie just need to at least hit the target from the penalty where he blazes it over? For me, so having them two games against Switzerland, which were obviously key games and could have swung it and taken us out of the playoffs, I think a lot of the blame, unfortunately, lies at Jorginho's doorstep. But on one hand, we've won the Euros by penalties. On the other hand, we're not going to the World Cup because of penalties.
I just think that is really just a typical Italian mentality. You know, they like to, you know, we lose a game or someone misses a penalty and we like to blame that player, and it's never down to an individual. When you don't make it to a World Cup, it's a collective thing. It's a collective issue. It's not an individual's fault. Yes, Jorginho, you know, he's a penalty taker for Italy at the end of the day. You expect him to score that goal, and not only did he miss one, he's missed two. So really, should he be on penalties? But that
is it not three in a row though?
For me though, it's not all about Jorginho missed the penalty, so he's the reason that Italy aren't through. Yeah, I just think that the team overall, Mancini included, they just didn't do what was required to get them through to the World Cup. But like I said, although it's disappointing, you want Italy to continue with the manager because they've been playing good football.
I mean, I think that, well, we were just listening to Del Piero after the Italy-England game. He was talking about how sometimes it's just the last moment or the final touch which makes you a winner, or can make the difference. It's their moments. Now, when you get a penalty, it is. I'm not just talking about the penalty shootout, but when you get a penalty in a game in a top of the table clash, obviously in this case it's Switzerland, and they just got dismantled the other day as well. Can't remember which team, but they just I just saw we dismantled them in the Euros. But when you've got a penalty and two penalties in two separate games to make the difference, that gives you 3 points. It does make the difference. It changes it, and games can swing on a referee's decisions and moments of brilliance. And we were struggling to score goals. The likelihood was our best way into goal was a penalty. We couldn't even put them away. So for me, it is disappointing. And you don't want to call out players. I'd still obviously keep Jorginho in the squad. I think he's apologised. He said he'll never be able to get over it. At the same time, he has contributed. And him playing that deep role allows our other players to get further forward. And I'm not saying that he has to be in there, but I think we need to see a player like maybe Locatelli or Tonali really, really excel before they just push him out of the way. I'd be reluctant to just give up Jorginho's spot. But if we do have penalty situations again in the future, I wouldn't just say, well, he's the penalty taker, he should be taking it. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, where you don't want to pin the blame down on an individual. Clearly, we've struggled without Chiesa to score goals. The lack of Spinazzola, we're missing penetration, aren't we, with these two aspects? But happy to bring in the new era. The North Macedonia game, how did you feel about that? I mean, because we seemed to dominate and then we got stung right at the end.
Well, I've always said that Italy are just missing a number 9. They don't have a player who can score goals, and for me, that's the big issue. And that's the issue. Even if we would have qualified for the World Cup, we don't have that danger man who's going to score his goals. But then you hope that Italy's history and reputation and traditions will take them through, because we know we're a tournament team. But for me, we're out of the World Cup, and I've mourned it. I mourned it that evening. But you got to look to the future now. And people were telling me, I think Mancini should go, and no chance.
The North Macedonia specifically at this juncture, when you looked at the North Macedonia,
we had 30 odd shots, but 5 on target.
There was the
great chances, but just no one who could finish them.
There was the Berardi moment where the ball comes to him and it looks like he's got an open goal. By the time he's rolled it in, the keeper's collected it easily. I mean, that was probably one of the main chances. Insigne
at this level now, international level, when you've got a team like, I want to give North Macedonia credit. I do. You've got a team like them, absolutely no chance on paper should be beating Italy. Italia, no way. And do you know what? They defended robustly. Yeah, we had chances, but you know that we don't have the clinical finishes, especially when you've not got guys like Chiesa playing, and you're thinking to yourself, Immobile. Now I know he's been doing good for Lazio, but I mean, when you look at Immobile for Italy, he's so inconsistent. And I just thought that when you have 30 odd shots but only 5 on target, and their goal, I mean, I think they had 2 shots in the game, but their goal was absolutely sublime. And it's just one of them things, everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that Mancini now, if he can, over the next few years, have another good Euros tournament, which I fully expect us to, and qualify for, and just look to build towards the next World Cup, because I think we've got 4 stars. When it comes to these tournaments, Italy will always be a threat, and I just think it's unfortunate that we're out. But I've got to take my hat off to North Macedonia and say, well done, congratulations.
I think just looking from the Azzurri angle on the North Macedonia, the first thing that struck me straight away was Immobile getting the armband. This was the guy that played 180 minutes against Sweden.
It felt like a token gesture.
In the last World Cup qualifier, he played 180 minutes and he was unable to score. He gets the armband. For me, it was almost like giving him confidence, giving him a boost, saying, you're the guy, putting faith in him. But then we saw, I think it was like 65, 66 minutes, just whips him off.
It's almost that reverse psychology that Mancini was, applying with the armband.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that struck me. And the second thing was, when he made his changes, the first change he made was Raspadori. He brought him on. And for me, I was screaming out for Pellegrini. I wanted him in the team.
To be honest, I'm just really disappointed that we're not in another World. I love World Cups. So disappointed that they're out, but I've done my morning.
The last knockout game in a World Cup was 2006, because 2010 we didn't escape the groups, 14 we didn't get out the groups, 18 we weren't there. It's a shame for some of these players of this generation, like Insigne. He's never been to a World Cup, has he?
Yeah, but he's just won Euros and scored an absolute worldie against Belgium.
Yeah, but the Euros gives you that platform. But it's a shame that a player like him will never be at a World Cup. To a degree, because I don't think he's the top shelf, but to have a full career. And I mean, Verratti's only just made that Brazil appearance, didn't he? I mean, but
yeah,
he's running out of time for a World Cup appearance. He'll be like 32, maybe. I think he's 29 now, so he'll be like 32 by the next World Cup. But yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's too old to play in a World Cup.
No,
not a player.
No, it's got maybe one more opportunity left. But then it's not like you just getting to the World Cup means you're going to have a good World Cup, does it? So sometimes you need a few rolls of the dice. And he's had one. You might get one more. But Pellegrini, he came on with about 10 minutes to go. I kind of give Mancini a pass for it in the North Macedonia game, because there was extra time on the table and they didn't even look like scoring, like a late goal.
Agreed.
We saw them in maybe the 91st minute. They went all the way down into a good attacking position, and then they went back to the keeper because they didn't want to attack. They just wanted to keep the ball and see the game out to extra time.
I think they played well. I think they deserve credit.
Yeah.
What I saw from them and when I saw the fans celebrating, I was genuinely as upset as I was. I was pleased for them at the end when I had time to reflect, because I thought, you know what, you deserved it, guys.
Well, the thing is, we knew they weren't going to get past Portugal anyway, and I had my reservations of whether Italy would beat Portugal. To be honest, I thought it was a big uphill task from the get-go. The way we were playing, the way we were attacking, I was disappointed. All I can say is I was happy he took Immobile off when he did, but I was disappointed that Pellegrini didn't feature sooner. But like I said, I give Mancini a bit of a pass for that, given the fact that there was extra time on the cards.
I've got no issues with any of the players, any of his team selections, and any of the players that he brings in.
Well, what about Finalissima? You've seen him go with Raspadori.
That game was nothing. It was an absolute nothing game to Italy.
Well, I think the way.
So let me just tell you that right now. That all what that was just, what do you call it? Hair of the dog from a hangover. Yeah, that's all that was. It was just let's get the Euros out of our system and move forward.
Okay, but the World Cup, failure to qualify at the World Cup, there's an opportunity, in Finalissima to bring through the new generation. And instead, he goes back to the peripheral players like Belotti, Raspadori, Berardi for Finalissima, and it doesn't work. It's an opportunity there to get the cobwebs out of North Macedonia and try and bounce back and feel good. So surely you'd use that as a barometer, because you don't look at the Nations League as a major competition, do you?
No, but I think the Nations League's more of a competition than the game was against Argentina. I just thought it was a nothing game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's weird to talk about club football, but it's like these intercontinental and World Club Championships and all the rest of it. They are nice. They're a great trophy, and if you can put something on your shirt, it's great. But they really, in the big scheme of things, at international level especially, unless you're playing for a star, they don't mean anything.
The thing is, though, Argentina, are now over 30 games undefeated. You're playing against the South American champions, and there's an opportunity for Mancini to test what he wants to do with his team going forward with new look players.
Listen, when you're not into a World Cup, it's all about rebuild. That's it. You're not thinking about, I want to win this game and win a trophy. What you're thinking about is, we're not in another World Cup. I've got 4 years now.
So why didn't he rebuild? I mean, the thing is,
the game. What Mancini's trying to do is trying to bring in players now that are going to be quality in 4 years' time. He's an actual coach that's looking to bring players through and into his system. And what we saw in the Euros, that no matter who came on the pitch, they knew how to play in Mancini's system. And we play good football. We play good football under him.
You're skipping ahead there a little bit. Cause just like I say, just looking at Finalissima and how it happened.
No, because for me, that's not a game I want to dwell on.
Okay,
I've moved over,
right.
moved on from it.
Well,
and you're making it out to be a big game.
I'm
wasn't.
just making it out to be a game of football, which it was. For me, the game,
it's finished.
The game swung on the first goal, which looked like a foul to me. And from then, I could never see us recovering as a team. But it looked like Raspadori was given that opportunity, and Pessina, Berardi, Belotti, almost like the peripheral figures from the Euros, and just as a reward to kind of close that chapter.
Before Italy went into the Euros, while we were on the unbeaten run, and while we were in the Euros and we won it, we knew as football fans, as Italy football fans, that we had a really, really aged defence. A defence that wasn't quick, and a defence that could get caught out with a bit of pace. And we saw slight glimpses of it in certain games where we just, the ball over the top, finished. And the thing is when we played Argentina and you had that squad, if Mancini was looking to rebuild or do anything, he would have brought in different centre-backs to play. The fact that he played Bonucci and Chiellini, it was almost like a farewell. It's like, clear out your locker, guys. We love you. And we do love them. You know what I mean? That's why I don't want to get hung up on that particular game, because I think it was more of a testimonial type flavour. Everyone was hugging Messi and asking for his autograph. I know what you mean. You want to win every game. I want to win every game that's on the table. I want to win every trophy that's on the table. But ultimately, not being in the World Cup, nothing matters now. Apart from a rebuild, that's it.
Well, I think when I look at Mancini's whole mantra since he come into Italy, it's trying to get away from, only certain games are important, and you try to play all of the games, the friendlies, the Nations League. You try to play it all with that spirit of just having pride of playing for your country and trying to have a continuation. But it did seem like it was a farewell party. Now, and I think at that point, a lot of fans were asking, at least on social media channels, is Mancini the right man for the job? For me, not seeing Pellegrini, I just had my apprehensions, but I had to see where it was going. We had a few games coming up, and the fact that the next game against Germany, he brings in Pellegrini. He goes with that youthful turn. He bleeds in Willy Gnonto, who then goes and gets the assist when we get a credible draw, good performance. Yeah,
but he was able to do that because of what he did against Argentina. The fact that he gave these guys the farewell allowed him to bring in these new crop of players. And it was almost like he was saying, right, after that game, the line's drawn, the chapter's over, and now we begin a new chapter. And I can see players that Mancini's bringing in that might not be red hot right now, but in a couple of years' time, I think they will be.
Tell me about Pellegrini and what you're thinking about Pellegrini.
I love his story. I love his story. I think he's a great player. He's great for Rome, and I like that type of footballer. That type of footballer that wants to win, has got quality, and can just give you them moments in games. And you feel like when you've got a Pellegrini on the pitch, for me, he epitomizes a Roman player. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. And he's got technical brilliance.
Yeah, I think the thing that strikes me about Pellegrini, having seen his interview on YouTube, where he talks about having to quit playing football when he was younger because of a potential heart condition, where he needed to listen to his heartbeat, get into a certain regularity, and just how much football meant to him. This guy's not. When you go through something like that, you stop taking things for granted. Don't in terms of you getting told you can't play football, and he's already a quality
to
player.
have a guy like that potentially has got some longevity in the national team. It's an exciting time. You can see already what he's doing for Roma, and if you can replicate that for Italy.
Do you remember a couple of years ago when him and Barella were coming through? You're just looking at him and thinking,
quality.
Pellegrini's seems to have the almost extra technical and smooth flair abilities, whereas Barella seemed to have more robust nature. But what we've really seen in the last couple of years, we've seen Barella showing to be a playmaker, put the ball in the net. We've seen Pellegrini make some recovery runs. They complement each other when they're in the same team really, really well. And I think with them two, and if you throw Verratti in the mix there, then you do have a battle for Jorginho, because I do think it was a good year for Tonali. I mean, are you convinced by Sandro Tonali?
My take on Italy, as it stands right now, is that the future's bright.
Well, who would be in your midfield dynamic? You know, like next game, everyone's fit. Say next game, everyone's fit. Oh, well, we've got Germany, but let's fast forward to September when I believe we've got England in Italy. Who would be your team if everyone's available, including Chiesa?
We've got in Jorginho, Verratti, and Barella 3 of the best midfielders in the world.
You put Jorginho in that?
I put them 3 because it's not about him overall, it's how he slots into the system and what he does for the team. Jorginho, before the Euros, I liked him, but I didn't rate him. I thought he was a bit lightweight on the ball. And I didn't particularly think he was powerful enough to play in that midfield. But in the Euros, with Verratti's injury as well, I saw Jorginho be a player who could always accept the ball wherever he was on the pitch. And he's got the ability to thread them passes, and he just makes space for players around him. And then you add Verratti into that mix, and then you've got somebody there who can just control the tempo of a game. And that's why we were never worried in the final against England, because we knew while we had Verratti, he'd just control the game. So if you've got Barella in them pockets.
So would you play Pellegrini where Insigne plays, on the left-hand channel with a bit of freedom?
I'd play him a bit further forward, because first of all, we need goals. And he'll give you goals or assists.
He's got the end product, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll give you goals or assists. And then you've got other exciting players that expect Chiesa to come back in there. You know,
would you play Scamacca? Now, is he our 9 that we're going to try and put some faith in? I think it's still to be won, but he's heading the race, in my opinion.
I've not seen a lot of him, but what I have seen of him, he's got a great first touch. He holds the ball up really nice. And I think technically he's really good. He's almost got that Luca Toni Gilardino mould about him.
Hold up play.
Yeah. I really liked his touch the other night against England. It looked good. He didn't get a lot of the ball, but what he did do in the game, he looked good.
He just needs time to develop. I mean, it's literally one full season. He was at Ascoli at loan 1920, and he had 33 games, 9 goals in Serie B, and then he was at Genoa last year with 8 goals in 26 games, 12 in 29 in all competitions in Serie A. So this is his first real breakthrough season at Sassuolo, where he's got 16 goals, Serie A goals in 38 total games. It's his first credible season. Nothing prolific, but we bought Belotti on the back. We brought him into the national setup on the back of a great season, and he's never really maintained that. I like the fact that he's a steady player who has different levels of threats, but he's going to need a bit of time to grow, and he has to continue to do it at club form. That's an issue with Sassuolo, because we've used a lot like Locatelli, Berardi, Scamacca, now Raspadori. We use these players, but Sassuolo, what we see from them is this inconsistency. We don't know if they're going to be brilliant or if they're not, and these guys need to get consistency, whether it's going to a more consistent team or whether it's playing consistent within that team, if we're going to use so many Sassuolo players.
In the next 4 years, players are going to come through in Italy. You've got guys like Maldini at Milan now, willing to bleed these young players in, and I think that's how it's going to go. It's going to freshen up over the next 4 years, and you've got a manager in Mancini who will scout and will pick players, and you know, and we've seen this with some of the players that have come in that you've mentioned. And I just think the future with Italy and Mancini at the helm.
Who would you take if someone's injured out of Verratti, Jorginho, or Barella? Who would you first go to be? Would it be Locatelli or would it be Tonali?
Tonali's one for the future. He's not quite there for me.
Do you know when he joined into the attack late and he missed that chance when he got in? I'd seen him score 2 goals like that for Milan where he joins in the play late and Rafael Leao cut it back and he was just there. He's a guy who consistently makes deep runs. He's got a lot of energy about him. He's got a physicality. Like there is elements of his game and even his style where you look at him and you think it's a bit Pirlo-esque there. But Pirlo really did play at 2 miles an hour at all times.
I don't.
This guy,
apart from his hairdo, I don't see the Pirlo comparison.
No,
this guy is more suited to someone like Gattuso.
Well, that's how he sees himself, actually. Energy, yeah.
In terms of the way that he plays his game. But I think for Italy, the kind of midfield I like, the way we're playing football is you need to be able to, first of all, play it from the back because it's international football. But then you need to get the ball quickly to the strikers as quickly as possible through your midfield with players that can pass 1 or 2 touch and thread it through the eye of a needle. Now, you've got guys, when you've got Chiesa back, and let's say you play Pellegrini on the left, you've got 2 players there who are very intelligent at making runs. So if you've just got any kind of 9, he's got a physical presence and a good touch, all of a sudden then you've got a dynamic team. And we'll always have a good defence, got a great goalkeeper.
For me, there'll be them moments, and we've already seen him introduce it in the final against England, where he wasn't happy with Immobile, and he's then gone to move one of our attacking midfielders inside to play a false 9. So I think we could also see Zaniolo, Chiesa and Pellegrini as an interchanging front three without that focus point, because I think that's where the quality is. If a 9's not delivering, take away the focus point,
but the thing is
players that give us
you know as well as I do that that's the kind of thing Mancini would do, and that's why you want him to stay in as coach, because as soon as you bring somebody else in, before you know it, you're going to be looking at different types of formation that might not necessarily suit. But Mancini's flexible. I'm happy with Italy. I say we dive into the Ten Hag's tough task, because it's certainly a tough task. What do you think? Is it a tough task?
I don't even know if he's got a chance. To have an opportunity. Well, he does have the opportunity.
Do you like Ten Hag?
I think Ten Hag was a better appointment than Pochettino, but I didn't see a guy on the market as a manager that had the credentials to really challenge the likes of Pep and Klopp, and that ultimately is where United have to be aiming for. Now, Ten Hag's going to have a window. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, but he's going to have a window and he's going to have to prove himself. Otherwise, United will be back in the market. Maybe they'll go back in there for a Carlito, go and get Ancelotti.
What does he need to do then, Ten Hag, in the first year at United?
It's just such a massive job. And then when you get at the other end, I mean, just the way United have dealt with this whole situation. First of all, Ralph Rangnick, a complete failure.
But
is that safe to say?
But what would be successful for Ten Hag right now?
Just looking
at Ralph Rangnick. Listen.
Just looking at managers.
I'm not going to say good riddance, but I am going to say good riddance.
So I mean,
you're a nice guy.
The season ended.
Open surgery.
The season ended.
What's he thinking?
The season ended with United capitulating, but I was already saying the season was already like a train wreck. So in a way, it was like the perfect ending to the season. It was just a rubbish ending to match a rubbish season. And the Solskjaer, Greenwood, all the little different elements, but United could have got Conte in there, who came out there with his Italian flag and said, "I'm available, I'm free, select me." And you've got people like Gary Neville saying, "No, don't go for him. Don't get this guy. He might get into Champions League, and you don't want that." But
I don't think Gary was saying that.
No, but I had my reservations. Was this the guy that you want to build United around? But he's out there, he's free, and we know that he has the qualities.
I'll tell you now what I told you before. Conte would have come into United, and for 2 to 3 years, you would have had intense, the rocket up people's behinds or whatever you want to call it. You would have had an intense, passionate manager there that would have got you winning something. Yeah, absolutely guaranteed. But we needed something more. I mean, I thought we were going to go with Pochettino playing nice attacking football, but all of a sudden you see what's happened at PSG now, and people are starting to doubt his credentials.
Did United go for Ralph Rangnick to save money? I mean, why didn't they give him anything to work with?
I don't really want to give Rangnick any more airtime.
I think Rangnick. I think
Rangnick. It's just like all the best, fella.
I think he threw his toys out the pram because he saw how this was impacting, his name, who he is. I'm sure that he received plenty of abuse for the way,
Listen,
the
only thing that happened to Rangnick is he got paid. He's come to United on a bit of a holiday and got paid for it. He's not done anything different. In fact, United probably would have done better if Solskjaer would have stayed.
His name,
guaranteed. There you go, Ollie.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's not going to be around managing for 10 years, is he? Anyway, but his name in the global or international football has just taken a massive hit for who he is. It was tough. He had his hands tied behind his back, but he didn't have the gusto. I told you the one thing that Rangnick needed to do when he come in was get the guys believing in playing and just getting some sort of positivity on the pitch or some sort of discipline, and he just didn't have it.
What you could say after the hiring of Ralph Rangnick, were Manchester United correct to get rid of Solskjaer when they got rid of him?
I thought it was time to go.
Why not keep him till the end of the season if Rangnick's your plan B?
Yeah.
Keep him in there. I mean,
and do you know what Solskjaer would have done? It would have just been happy in the media in terms of he wouldn't have been like outing them about their shady.
Do you know what
lack of support?
Do you know what's positive about Ten Hag for me? I don't really know anything about him as a manager, if I'm honest. I've only seen the way he's conducted himself recently and what I've read, which is probably 75% of it is probably embellished anyway. But what I like about Ten Hag is the fact that he's come in now to Manchester United and said, right, this is what I want to do. And they seem to have, and he's been very forceful in it, and they seem to have gone with it. Now, I'm seeing a bit of a restructure in the club as well. Certain people have come in at different positions. We've just got a new like manager in the background. I think he's come in something like deputy football director or something, come from Liverpool, and he's supposed to be really good. So I think if Ten Hag comes in and they can adopt a new philosophy, and there is change at Man United. I'm hearing that he's changing the training ground, and he's a meticulous attention to detail. He's a very lot like Fergie. People are saying in that way in terms of his characteristics. But I just think for me to get optimistic about Ten Hag is it's the kind of players that he's going to bring in. If he brings in a Frenkie de Jong, I mean, I'm going to be delighted because I think we need that type of player at United. But it's going to be down to who he brings in, I think, who can take us to the next level and how he wants to go about playing, because I don't think you can adapt that philosophy that he's got straight away.
The thing is, though, all the managers that have previously been at United post Sir Alex Ferguson have had a squad to work with. Moyes had a championship winning squad. Van Gaal, well, he had to bring in some players really, but he had the residue of the previous squad. And then Mourinho's then been backed a little bit. Solskjaer, Rangnick, they've all had a squad of players. This guy's come in here, and straight away you've got no Pogba. You've got no Greenwood as the other option. Martial's out the door. There's no forwards there, is there? You've got Ronaldo, who's aging. You've probably got another year. 2 if you're lucky out of Ronaldo, and nothing else around him unless Rashford steps his game up. So he needs to do major surgery up front.
What does Ten Hag need to do to be successful in his first year, in your eyes?
Well, you mean what does he need to achieve?
Yeah.
Well, he needs to achieve. He needs to achieve a good team. He needs to start building an infrastructure. Now, the first thing that I heard about him was he's ready to get rid of Wan-Bissaka. And when you've lost so many players, and I know Wan-Bissaka is not popular per se, but I think Wan-Bissaka is a useful player as a defender, not just for his man-to-man defending, but his athleticism. And I think he can be a contributor to a good team. The fact that Ten Hag is one move, and I know he's got value for resell value, but for him to be like, this is one of my first moves, straight away I'm thinking, if I was coming into United, he wouldn't be one of the first guys I'd want to let go, Wan-Bissaka. There's other guys.
Well, no. I mean, I can definitely see what he's looking to do. He wants to play an attacking philosophy of football, which is going to stem from his wing backs.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think it's got anything to do with Wan-Bissaka in terms of his defending. And I think man-to-man, one-to-one, I still think he's one of the best defenders around. But as a right-back, he's almost not needed. And what we saw against when United played City last season, they just overloaded on that side because they knew he wasn't going to get forward, and he had 4 guys round him. And as good as Wan-Bissaka is, he couldn't deal with it. They just overloaded on that side. And I think that if you've got fullbacks that bomb on, it gives the other team, the other team's fullbacks have to drop in, or the defenders have to shuffle across. It just creates different issues. But you've got to have quality centre backs if you're going to play. And I think that's why he wants to bring in another centre back, preferably someone with pace.
Well, we see he's a system coach, and we see that Pep Guardiola loves to utilise his fullbacks. And we saw it with Dani Alves at Barcelona, almost like as a deep playmaker to create them actions, which bears a lot of fruit. But we've also seen ourselves, Mancini, win a tournament with Di Lorenzo. You know, and how he uses the left back further forward, shuffles him across. Wan-Bissaka would be almost perfect in that mode. So I'm just saying, like, for you to come in there, and the one thing I hear is, well, although we've lost 10 or 15 people, we're going to just we'll look to raise some money on Wan-Bissaka. That was his first move. I get the bigger picture, but I'm just saying, you know, like, you've got a lot of work to do here. And here's a competent defensive player, a guy who can put Sterling in his pocket, by the way, you know, and subdue the likes of Neymar and Mbappe that a lot of people just don't have that capability of doing. This is an elite defender in certain phases of games. Is he good going forward? He's limited, definitely.
I think saying he's an elite defender is just it's subjective.
But it's shown elite defensive qualities. Like I said, when Sterling had about 3 or 4 derbies where he was just in his pocket.
This isn't about his defending qualities. This is about how he's going to fit in to this system.
Exactly.
And because he's not a marauding fullback, we'd love him to be.
Yeah.
You know, and at Crystal Palace, I saw games where he was a marauding foot, but since he's been at United, and I think he's all right on the ball, but he's just not. He's not Kieran Trippier, is he? He's not going to whip something and put it in the box. He's not Trent. He's not.
Or even Reece James with that quality.
Exactly.
He does bring in a lot of quality.
You can see how teams with quality fullbacks, you can overload, get the ball wide.
I find it interesting what he's going to try and do with the squad. For me, he has to go with the guys he knows that fits into his system, the less people to coach. Then he has a structure and he can use the United players in and around the structure.
What does he have to achieve this season, though? What's his goal?
His goal is to not get sacked. It's to continue building and not get sacked.
What does he have to do to not get sacked? Because ultimately, results determine people's jobs. So where does he have to finish? What does he have to win? Does he have to win anything?
No, I think no, because the fact is he's building something from scratch, and all you need to see is a project that's encouraging. That's what you need to see. Now, if the project has no encouragement, do you know what I mean? We need to see performances where you can start seeing his philosophy pan out. I think that's all United need this season. It doesn't matter how low they finish.
Do you know what I think we need to see from Ten Hag?
As long as they don't get relegated.
What I want to see, because you skated around answering that question. But do you know what?
There is no expectations. Just don't get relegated and build something. The year after, we can have a look at that.
No, but check this. This is what you can actually say to him. What I want from you, Ten Hag, is I want you, no matter how you do it, to have the same impact on Manchester United as Eddie Howe had on Newcastle. Because I love the way he's gone about his business.
That's a good shout. I mean, Eddie Howe.
I love the way he's gone about his business. What's he done over there?
Do you know what, though? Here's another difference, though. If you're a player at Newcastle, you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm probably going to be in relegation battles for the rest of my life. I'm probably never going to win a trophy unless I get a lucky move to say Leon and we win something. They're just stuck in a rut. Then all of a sudden, someone's come in there, this cash cow, and said, guess what, guys? We're offering $1 billion contracts. We're going to give people a chance to win medals, the best medals, and you can be seen as a global player because we're going to push everything behind you. So it's not just the Eddie Howe effect, it's the effect of the owners. It's the effect of there being a new day, but it was good from Eddie Howe, no doubt.
I want to give Eddie Howe his plaudits.
Do you understand what I'm saying though? The whole club behind it. If you're a player in that dressing room,
if you get the wrong manager in, a project like that, before you know it, you're sacking and you're bringing somebody else in, but you've also got the compensation and all the rest of the uproar.
I don't care about compensation,
but all the rest of the uproar that comes with it. And I just think for Ten Hag, he just has to have that positive impact.
Yeah.
He's got to win the players over, and he has to bring in at least 4 or 5 players to freshen up the squad and get his ideas across.
For me,
because if he brings 1 or 2 in, you're going to have the same. For
me, first season, just don't get sacked. Just don't get sacked and show the signs of building things. And a lot of it is not just going to be down to him. Although I said I was initially concerned with that, what happened with the Wan-Bissaka and how he was thinking about him straight away, I was also happy that he earmarked Frenkie de Jong as his number 1 prime target. That's who he wanted.
We like Frenkie, don't we?
And this, from what I can see from Frenkie de Jong, this guy is a top class midfielder. I think he's everything that England's missing. In the national team, he's a playmaker and he's got defensive abilities.
To be honest, I think Declan Rice can play that role.
Well, do you know what?
He plays, he
can, but he's not. Declan Rice isn't as good as Frenkie de Jong. I think Frenkie de Jong.
Listen, I don't.
He's double the player.
I can't say that.
He's double the player
until I have a close look at him, because I do like Declan Rice.
Listen, Frenkie de Jong, we're on a different stratosphere of player here. We're talking about, when you talk about 100, 150. This is the 100, 150 million pound guy.
But JJ,
this is awesome.
You always the test is playing in England. We can all have a great season in Holland or a couple of great seasons in the sun in Spain, but
no,
England's where it's at.
I don't think showing yourself as being elite in England makes you good or a poor player. I don't think England does that, because at the end of the day, you can come to England and it can just be cold and you can just be like, I'm not feeling it. Or you got to build into a new system. We saw Varane underwhelm at United. I felt like there's a couple of factors there. One, the balance of the team had to be shifted by bringing Varane in when you've got Keane and Scholes. Yeah, but another guy who you could say is, it's not really meshed well. There's plenty that have come over, but Angel Di Maria, he's not a poor player, and just because it doesn't work out in the corner, it usually takes a little bit of time to adapt to a style of football. It doesn't mean you can't be a world player. It's not worked for Pogba. Doesn't mean that Pogba can't excel. He couldn't excel in Man City, or he couldn't excel in the Premier League. No, he can play in the Premier League. You just need a good team around him and a team that's going to be winning.
I don't get your point though.
Well, my point is that Frenkie de Jong is an elite guy, and when the team, in that team structure and having him there, we have to get this transfer over the line. He's the guy that you can build the club around. I like the idea of having Frenkie in there. Obviously, you should be getting Anthony in there. Anthony was one of the better players last year. When I look at Ten Hag, I go back to, I think it was I don't know if it was 4-1 or 4-0. I go back to that game in the Bernabeu. I think Real Madrid have won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, and they just battered them, playing the most scintillating football you can imagine. Tadic was just purring. He was perfect. It was easily a 10. I think L'Equipe gave him a 10. Forget L'Equipe. I gave him a 10 in that performance. He was magical. And Ziyech, he was magical. This is the thing when I was looking at Ajax. Donny van der Beek never grabbed me as one of them standout elite performers, but their best player for me was Frenkie de Jong. And De Ligt was a close second. Then there was other quality pieces. I think getting Frenkie de Jong into our team, a guy that will run back, will demand. He's an organizer. He's a leader. And then on the ball, 1 and 2 touch, he's comfortable on the ball. He's got the full game. We're now.
The thing is with Frenkie de Jong, he can come into the team, but he's not going to change the team on his own.
No.
You still need another piece in that midfield next to him. Arguably Bruno's going to be in there as well. And then you've got the defence issues. United have got, they need to bring in some quality players. And don't get me wrong, I think Frenkie de Jong is a quality player. But is he going to come into the Premiership, hit the ground running, and be awesome from day one? We saw Paul Pogba, what he could do at Juventus. Frankly, unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's
no,
different.
no,
It's
unbelievable.
It's different.
Comes back to United, he's inconsistent.
Yeah,
and the thing is we can't say, even though Pogba was inconsistent, that he's not a quality footballer, because he is a quality footballer, just like Frankie's a quality footballer.
Yeah.
But he's not tried and tested in the Premier League. It's a different ball game. You've got to adapt to the, moving clubs and all the rest of it. Is he going to hit the ground running? We don't know yet.
Pogba was a match winner. He was a guy that would make the difference with a pass or a goal. Frankie's not that. Frankie's a heartbeat type player. He's a heart player. Frankie is a kind of variety type. He's a variety type player.
He plays on the edge of the fulcrum midfield.
There's not a lot. I mean, and this guy does his best work, doing the dirty work, doing the organising. He's got everything that Pogba could work alongside, but Pogba needs to be further up the pitch. He's no good back there, and I think he's a sure thing, because he's a 1 and 2 touch player. He is aware. This guy has got an elite mental capacity. Let me ask you a question though about Frankie. Is it a positive or a negative how he stalled initially and he was like, I don't really want to, I'm not sure I want to do this?
I think it's a positive.
Of course it's a positive.
Listen, at the end of the day, he's at Barcelona.
His dream club.
Playing nice football.
And also, like, if you're fully committed to having the best career possible, why would you come to United? I'd be concerned about coming to United, obviously, unless, I grew up loving United. Why would I want to come to United when I've just seen what it's done to Pogba's career? A World Cup winner, when I've seen the way that everyone's jumping ship like the shark-infested waters around Old Trafford.
At the end of the day, he's got to buy into the project. But I think he has got a tough task, Ten Hag. But ultimately, I just hope he has the same impact at United that Eddie Howe has had at Newcastle.
He just needs to get his signings over the line. If
United, we need
to
the most difficult thing for Ten Hag is going to be getting this transfer window negotiated, because United have not been excellent in transfer windows, and it has cost us. Recruitment is more important now than ever before.
I think with Ten Hag, if he can stay in the hot seat and he can survive this season, and we can use the transfer windows to get his squad right, I've got no doubts that I think Ten Hag can be a competent Manchester United manager and have United challenging. We just need to back him, because we've got a long way to go to get that squad right.
I think they expect Ten Hag to get in the Champions League top 4, and if he doesn't do that, he might well not have a job.
But at the end of the day,
that's what I think.
If they don't bring
a minimum requirement,
let's just say they don't bring him in. Say they just go in the market and they get a Fellaini type player. They must know as a club, with Sir Alex Ferguson on the board, that's not going to get us in Champions League. They need to make the requisite signings. Now, if they make the requisite signings, say they bring in Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo, maybe they can have demands. But if they don't get Frenkie de Jong, if they don't get him over the line, they can't start looking at Ten Hag and saying, why have you not achieved what nothing. It's all about United off the field, getting the signings over the line. And I think Ten Hag, all he needs to do is stay in the team, start building his philosophy. I think next season will be a season where he can start having a bit of a squad and a real impact on the team. I think this season it's just it's clear out. It's trying to rebuild.
Are you looking forward to pre-season?
Well, always do, but it depends. I don't want to see Frenkie de Jong arrive 1 week before the end of the transfer window.
No, he needs
get
to
him
be
over the line.
Soon,
and Anthony, he knows already.
Get these players in.
He knew already who he wanted, and instead of going on holiday, he went straight to the training ground. I love that, by the way.
Yeah, I love that.
David de Gea last season had a stinker, couldn't get into Euros, comes back early and puts a marker down, doesn't he? He said, I'm going to be the number one. And he was excellent. Anybody talking about De Gea's distribution, slow down. Absolutely slow yourself down. You've got an elite keeper. I don't care how much money he's making. Get rid of Dean Henderson. He's not the real deal. Get somebody in backup for your philosophies down the line. But right now, you've got an elite player who's a goalkeeper, and we need him because the team isn't going to be good enough. It's going to need a David de Gea in the goal. Forget them Edisons, all these. Even Donnarumma the other day against England, trying to play the ball out. If it's not on, you know what David does?
Yeah, he gets rid of it.
He looks at Maguire, he looks him in the eyes, he goes, "Not today, Maguire. You're not feeling it, are you, kid?" Just kicks it out of touch. And that is the way that I think you probably got to handle United at the moment, the defence. Now, when they start coming out confident, then maybe De Gea will pass you the ball. When he starts passing the ball, all right. But yeah, I mean, that's all I want to see. I want to see, obviously, if I see Frenkie de Jong line up in that team, in United's team, it's going to start making it interesting. And just on the way up here, you were talking about Juan Mata and about
thank you.
Your love for Juan Mata.
Juan.
We have done a public disservice to this absolutely fantastic talent and gentleman and human being. And
I've got a little tribute here for Juan Mata, if you don't mind.
You're going over the full district. This could be the wrap up. Also,
I think
this is where you want to go.
I think this is the wrap up.
Just say something from your heart. Also, you know what you wrote.
No, listen. The thing is Juan Mata. I mean, what happened is I saw his thank you video the other day on LinkedIn. I'm not going to lie to you. It brought a tear to my eye, and I thought, I never, ever, ever post on LinkedIn. I might share a work post, something like that, or obviously like or comment on the post, but I never, ever post anything. But I saw this video of Juan Mata, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I have to personally thank him. I have to thank him. And this is what I said.
I mean, Juan Mata might end up going down as a guy. He's just a bit of a cult fan, a bit of Diego Forlan. He came and made the Scousers cry with that wonderful performance at Anfield. Just one of the highlights, actually, post-Fergie, that game where we've gone to Anfield and just played him off the park.
Well, do you know something? It is going to have to come from the heart, because the signal is not playing. It's not playing ball, but I basically just said thank you to Juan Mata, because not just Juan Mata understood the history of Manchester United Football Club, and the relationship that Juan Mata has created with Manchester United fans is one that's going to be eternal, and it's going to be one of love.
Has he been underused and undeployed at United?
Absolutely. We've got a guy there that is not just an exceptional footballer, but he's a world-class human being. This is a guy who has understood the ins and outs of the club, given everything for the shirt, is proud, is honoured to play for Manchester United. The way he's conducted himself on and off the pitch and helped players in and around the squad, I just think that you don't get these type of people, these human beings that are just phenomenal. They don't get the kind of credit that they deserve. And Juan Mata, for me, not just as a footballer who played for Manchester United, but as an ambassador of the game of football globally, I just want to say thank you, sincerely thank you for just being, somebody that kids can aspire and aspire to be like.
What I want to see with Mata, obviously Mata is a bit almost like a lot of the Spanish players always like to keep possession, but he almost like had that 10 in him where he had the final ball, a bit Iniesta-ish, even one up. He was an actual 10. David Silva, he wasn't always looking for the final ball. It was the ball before the ball. Juan Mata was a 10. And I think the way United have treated Juan Mata is gross misconduct to football. I think it's disgusting. I'm appalled. Everyone's come in there and they've started other people. Because it's more athletic. We've seen with Man City, with the likes of David Silva, with Bernardo Silva, what can be done with just footballers on the pitch. And we've even seen glimpses when he's been utilised, completely underutilised. And I think,
guys,
it's a sin.
It's an exclusive. I've got it here. It's come up.
I was hoping he wouldn't find it, if I'm being honest. But go on.
Thank you, Juan Mata. The relationship between football players and fans can be difficult to understand. There are so many aspects that can affect this relationship. As a professional footballer, you play the game, and if you're a good player, the fans will support you. If you're a great player, the fans will love you. And at Manchester United, the relationship always starts with love, and how it ends is completely dependent on the player. When a footballer joins Manchester United, as a football fan, you expect them to be good. However, the magic that is generated within the theatre of dreams can also elevate a player to become an icon, adulated in the media and adored by the Stretford end. Conversely, it can create an overbearing amount of responsibility on some players, the demand to carry the club's history and to contribute to its overall greatness. It is an enormous privilege and not one that every player can adapt to easily. But in Juan Mata, you have a great footballer who educated himself on the history of the club. He understood and still understands what it means to wear the iconic Manchester United shirt, what it meant to those who wore it before him, and what it will mean to those who wear it after him. To be a United player, you need more than to be just a good player. You need to engage and interact with the fans emotionally, energize them by making yourself vulnerable, by giving your all on the pitch. Understand what is rooted down in the club's history and express yourself through an unwavering commitment to be the best in everything you do for the team, the club, and the fans. When a player commits himself in this way, the beautiful relationship with the fans becomes an eternal one of love, cemented into history and one to never be forgotten. Thank you for everything, Juan. Forever a Red, forever a Manc. See you soon.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic guy Juan was. I mean, I remember when he signed, I really wanted him to take the 7. I wanted him to take the 7 shirt at that juncture, and he went for an 8, and I got him on the back of both my shirts. Juan. Henry Winter said he was like Zola with a Spanish passport. Not quite that attacking 10, because a lot of times I'd see Juan Mata, rather than play the final ball, he'd almost just keep possession. He was almost more of a midfield 10, but certainly a number 10 type player. And I just feel like we've completely underutilized him, and I'm disappointed that the way his and Pogba's career has gone. And I like to think that with the likes of Ten Hag, that if we get another Juan Mata type player, it won't be underutilized. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts for where we might finish next season? Just before we,
where I'm at with Manchester United at the moment is just, it really depends on the transfer window. You know, we get linked with absolutely everything and everybody. Pay these silly prices. You know, he's having a clear out. You know, we've not even really mentioned Jesse Lingard. He's been at the club a long time. There's a lot of people leaving, and potentially leaving. So it's all going to be about who he brings in, because ultimately, going into pre-season, he needs to freshen up that squad with a brand new mentality and way of playing football. And for me personally, as a fan, I'm hopeful, especially with Ronaldo committing himself, or it looks like he's committed himself to another 12 months. So
yeah, I think with the squad, what I want to see is, I want to see a bit of Ghana. I want to see Garnacho. I want to see a couple of these guys getting opportunities in minutes, particularly in pre-season. And then we need to get 3 or 4 signings in, particularly Frenkie de Jong. I want to see a new centre-back, whether it be Timber or another centre-back. I want to see somebody else added to the squad there. And we need a centre-forward. And Anthony. And we need Anthony. So if you can get 4 or 5 pieces in and bring in some of the youth team, we can have a look at. We start to get excited
with missing out on Nunes?
I want Osimhen. That's my truth on that. I think if I was,
but is he on United's radar?
Yeah, but no, he's on the radar to a degree. I'd want to see United as, I'd like to see him get Koulibaly and Osimhen out of Serie A.
I don't think Koulibaly's for sale.
He is. Both of them. You can go and get Osimhen and Koulibaly, like PSG got Thiago Silva and Zlatan. Yeah, you can go in there and do a double sweep. We need a massive, and the thing is, their wages are not as much as the likes of Pogba and that have just left the team. So we need a massive overhaul of players, and I think with them 2 players in there, centre forward and a centre back, you can then start building. But what Ten Hag's trying to do, he's trying to get in his players that he's worked with, that know his system, and that will fast track.
He knows he doesn't have time.
That will fast track his club playing the system if he gets players that are already familiar with him and his system. But listen, long way to go for United, long way to go for Italy, but there's been a rebirth at United in terms of Ten Hag, and we just need to get some of them players over the line and some of the infrastructure changes. And there's also been a rebirth at Italy. Granted, yeah, we're not at the World Cup and Mancini's still there, but when you look at the likes of Willy Gnonto, when you see Pellegrini wearing that 10, the Europa Conference player of the tournament, and you know, I really saw growth from Pellegrini, and he will be going on my new next Italy shirt, OC, with a number 10 Pellegrini. I think he deserves that, the way he's played. We welcome back Spinazzola, and we look forward to seeing Chiesa. But we'll watch United behind a pillow this year and see how it goes. But it can't be worse than last season. When you get to the bottom, sometimes it's long ways up.
Yeah, no, agreed. I just think we've just got to hope and pray. Really,
We just can't waste time with this opportunity. If you're going to bring him in, support him. Otherwise, you're just going to it's just going to deteriorate, and it's going to take even further to get out.
I'm just as a fan, just sat back and just seeing what he does. You know, I am interested. I'm daily reading news for updates, but there's just so many embellished stories out there. You just don't know what. It's difficult sifting through it all to find out what's actually going on. So let's see us hopefully bring some players in the next few weeks and have something to sing about.
Right, guys. JJ Coyle, Owen Luciano. Thanks for checking out the video. Like, subscribe, or comment, and we'll get back to any comments that come through on the thing. And we'll look forward to next time. It's nice to be back. Ciao, ragazzi.
Ciao, ciao.